Welcome to RTH Gaming's 50 Favorite Games.
These are the games numbered 40 through 31.
We want you all to keep in mind, these are our favorite games. We're not necessarily trying to tell you that one game is better than another. These are just our favorites to date, listed in order. For RTH Gaming, I'm Chip.
I'm Joe.
And I'm Lucas. Kicking off today's list with number 40, I've got Simon's Rum and Bones Second Tide. Mm-hmm. This is a great little dice-throwing, kill tons of enemies, two-player game. You can play with more, but I think optimally it's a two-player game. And the second edition, the 2.0, really ramped up the customization of your team. You've got to earn your upgrades and do various things, and it tightened the bolts on it. And just made what was already a really fun game a much funner game. So that's why at number 40, Rum and Bones Second Tide.
One of the things I really like about that game, too, is that, you can choose your own team of pirates. And there's so many different themes to choose from. So that makes it extra fun.
Yeah, I've been saying for a year I want to play this game. Maybe 2018 is my year. So, Joe, what do you have?
Well, my number 40 is Fields of Green.
Oh.
Fields of Green is farming based. That's the theme of it. And basically you have a water tower and you have your livestock, where you keep your food, your barn. And yeah, thanks. But basically you have to, as you're building out your farm, you have to make sure that the livestock is near the water, the crops are near the water. And it's an interesting puzzle of keeping everything close by so that you can grab the most points at the end. It's very thinky, and I enjoy it a lot. Fields of Green. Yeah,
I like the game. I like you said, the way you have to figure out how to keep things together. But then also, the drafting mechanic in that game is neat because you have a lot of leeway to choose. Yeah. You've got multiple stacks of cards, and so you say, okay, I want my draft hand to be 3 from livestock and 2 from vegetables or 2 from crops or whatever. Mm-hmm. And you kind of build that way, and you're setting up your opponents with that. So everybody's kind of, if you're back in the order, you're listening to your opponents going, oh, well, he already did a bunch of crops, so I don't necessarily need to pull any of those. Let me go see if I can find some buildings or something. It's a really, really neat game.
Yeah, I really like the 2-player variant for it. And in that one, you're going to put out like 6 cards, and it's draft, play, and then 2 more cards will come out. So you kind of see what's going to be coming that you don't have in the multiplayer game. And I kind of like that long-term planning thing. There's a little risk versus reward. I want these 2, so which one do I take? And maybe they won't take that one. I really enjoy this one at 2-player.
And good news, expansion was just announced for it.
So wow.
We've got one coming down the pipe. Well, my number 40 is going to be my new favorite card game, and that's Arkham Horror, the card game. Now, we, about a year ago, the 3 of us sat down and we wanted to play the Lord of the Rings card game. But we didn't want to all go out and buy it. And so what we said was we were going to buy it collectively and we were going to play the stories together. And I liked the way we did it because we said, you know what, we're going to start at the beginning of the story. We're not going to open any of the future packs until we get to them. And between the 3 of us, and we did have to buy, I think, 2 starter sets to play 3-player. But then we only bought 1 story pack. And we weren't allowing ourselves to include cards until we came to them. And we weren't allowing ourselves to go buy multiple story packs if we wanted more. We had to use what we had. So I like that. And Arkham Horror is kind of the next evolution of that. So it's that same story because I fell in love with the Lord of the Rings game. Arkham takes it to a new level of introducing locations where your characters move to and interactions there. And it kind of has that built-in story flow that I really like. So I love the implementation of it. I love the way they did it with the resolution and the locations. Arkham Horror, the card game, is coming in strong for me.
Well, it added a strange thing that it kind of took me a while to get used to, where you're going from room to room, but you have to go through the corridor or the hallway or the tunnel or up or down, and it was just something that was difficult for me to wrap my head around.
Yeah, it's really imperative to lay the cards out kind of in a logical manner.
Right.
Yeah. I enjoyed it too. I only got to play it the once, but I had a lot of fun and would like to play it some more.
Mm-hmm. Those are our number 40s.
At 39, I chose Legendary Encounters Predator.
Really?
Yep.
Okay.
For that one, I wasn't sure that I was going to like it. Number one, I've never seen the Predator movie. So...
Stop the tape.
I still have not seen the Predator movie. But, so I was really surprised when I started playing it and the story kind of unfolded and it was exciting. And,
of course it is. You're trying to get to the chopper.
I'm trying to get to the chopper, and I did. I think I was the only one who survived to get to the chopper. But at any rate, it was a really exciting game, and I found that I enjoyed it more than a lot of the other Legendary Encounter themes that came out. I think there was a Firefly one and Marvel, Alien. But with Predator, the one genre that I hadn't had any basis of comparison to was the one that I've enjoyed the most. So there you go. Legendary Encounters, Predator.
I haven't played the game. I haven't played the Predator when I've played other Legendary ones, and that does surprise me because I didn't really kind of see you as a Predator fan. But if it bleeds, we can kill it. So.
Yeah, I do like Predator, and like she said, it's a really great time. And then we played the story mode where you're playing through the first movie, but it has modes where you can play the Predators.
Oh, nice.
And then you can make it not cooperative at all, nice. Go after one another as the Predators. So I'm looking forward to trying those two and mashing it together with Aliens and seeing what happens there.
Very nice. My 39, I am sure, is going to appear on Lucas's list at some point, but it's 1960, The Making of a President. And so this game is just... it's a really neat kind of area control, really. Yep. Mm-hmm. Card drafting from GMT. It's about the Nixon and Kennedy election. And one of you is playing Nixon, one of you is playing Kennedy, and you're battling it out to see who can win the presidency. It takes me back to when I was a kid. There was a very, very old computer game, and I don't even know the name of it really, but it was kind of based on the same premise. You had a map of the United States, and you're trying to win electoral college votes in each state. You're sending resources to secure them and do things like that. And this is kind of a board implementation of it. And I've always liked that kind of that theme and that implementation. So 1960, Making of a President, really great game.
Yeah, and it's finally back in stock now with
yes.
with an updated version. So folks
still has the coffee stain on the board.
Right, right. My number 39 is a game that we featured in our very first episode of Board Game Battle Royal. And mine is actually the loser because, like we said, these are our favorite games. But mine is Primetime. It's a great little Euro game where you're putting on, as a network executive, you're putting on your week's worth of programming and trying to gain the most victory points in doing so. I really enjoy how this one works. It's kind of got some worker placement where you send your guys out to secure. We're going to do ads this turn, or we're going to buy this show or whatever. And then it's also got a neat auction that's not over convoluted. The values you can bid are printed on the board, and you just move your piece higher than the next guy. And if you do get outbid, you're going to get, once the bidding phase is over, you're going to get your choice of whatever for cheap, right? Mm-hmm. So you may not have gotten what you want, but you're not going to pay much for what you do get, and it might come out. Might work out really well for you. All in all, if you want an expanded view of that, go watch that video. But all in all, I just have a great time playing this game, and it's a theme that I absolutely adore, and that's Prime Time.
I think the gem with that one is the blocks when you're talking about the
demographics,
mm-hmm. the crowds. You have the couch potatoes versus the younger crowd versus males versus females. And manipulating mm-hmm. the demographics so that you can have the best show on the best day of the week. That's the meaty part of that whole thing.
And that was a really tough battle royal to do because both mm-hmm. of those
are great games.
Prime mm-hmm. Time and the Networks are really both great games.
And that's going to be our number 39.
Well, I'll start off 38 with a crossover from Joe Lynn's last list, and that's going to be Abyss. Man, this game is I knew when I saw the package it was your game because of the artwork, and it's a really pretty game, but it's also a really fun game. But the rule set is very simple. Mm-hmm. It's a very simple implementation, but there are deep choices to this game. You're drafting different soldier or people from under the sea, trying to secure what I guess would call aquatic nobles of some type to gain points and keys and go up and win the game. That's the rules essentially in a nutshell. But again, it's making those choices of which pile to pick up at the right time, which noble to go after, and that strategy really makes it a deep game, and it's a fun game. So Abyss is going to really show up on mine.
Well, it's also manipulating the Senate too, picking up those influences so you can sway that senator to your side. It's more deep than you think. Oh, yeah. You're right about that.
Yeah, and it's a nice package because each one of the different factions operate differently. They have strengths and weaknesses, and they're all viable towards victory, which is really neat. I think for me, this one simply suffers from, we played it a whole lot when it came out, and we haven't played it since, so I think that's why it's...
Yeah, it was on one of our 10x10s, so we played it quite a bit.
Yeah. My number 38, Chip just talked about it, is going to be The Lord of the Rings, the card game. He basically, said everything that I could. I like the Lord of the Rings story, and I thought we had an interesting, not overwhelming way to approach a game like this. And it was my first cooperative card game that I played. And, when I first saw that it was a cooperative game, I'm like, how is that even going to work? But that's because I'd played Fantasy Flight's competitive LCGs, and, I just couldn't see it. But it's a really good time if if you've got a group that likes cooperative, you like card games, and you're into the Lord of the Rings, I couldn't suggest this one higher.
Mm-hmm. Especially the way that the monsters work in it, like when you're opening up one of those locations or you're trying to finish a location, and those monsters, it's whoever has the highest threat, right? So they may all come to one person, so you really do have to work together just to survive, let alone open up that location. So very, very cool. For mine, I chose Blood Bowl. The one, it's not the card game, but the actual board game where you have your team, you put it together, you paint it up, and then you're going to town trying to get those touchdowns. I really enjoy that game because not only you get to play football, but you get to cheat, and as long as you don't get caught, it's awesome. Right. And the fans get involved. One of your players could actually be killed by a fan when they, mob the field. So there's a lot of quirkiness, a lot of chaos, a lot of fun, and a lot of skill. Because if your team is a bruiser team, well, then you're trying to do the running plays, pound down to the other side of the field. If you are fast, like, the Skaven team, then you would be throwing the ball and running and using your agility. So there's a lot of finesse to it, and I really enjoy Blood Bowl.
Such a great game, and we've been playing it so long. It's refreshing to me to see the game evolve but not change all that much. Right. The rule set has really stayed the same from the core, second or third edition when we got in to the new version that was just released last year. So, yeah, I can definitely appreciate that game.
Great game.
Those are our number 38s.
At 37, I've got a crossover with Joe's last list, and that is Xenoshift Dreadmire. Oh. We were fans of Xenoshift Onslaught, and they announced that they were going to put out the Dreadmire. It's got a little different, and frankly, for me, a little more appealing location or theme, however you want to think about that. I like the art style a little bit better, and they didn't just rehash what they had done. Yeah. All the troop types are different. The monsters are coming at you. They've changed the way you encounter them, so it's more of a ramped up thing. They have many different abilities, and then some of them have different abilities based on the weather. They added so much to a game that I already liked. Another great cooperative card game, Xenoshift Dreadmire.
The one thing I really enjoy about that one over Onslaught is Onslaught was always challenging. But more often than not, you were going to win at the end of the day. With Dreadmire, that's not going to be the case more often than not. You really treasure those wins because they're so few and far between. For mine, I chose Tiny Epic Galaxies. That was the first game that came out from the Tiny Epic series, being the sci-fi variant. And the fact that it was compact and you are controlling your own little galaxy expansion dominion was awesome. The fact that they could put all of those neat worker placement or action following the action into such a tiny package just floored me. And I enjoyed every moment of that game, and that's Tiny Epic Galaxies.
Yeah, that one, I'm a huge fan of the Tiny Epic line. I have all the games, and I like all of them, so don't take this as disparaging, but that was the first one of the line where after you played it for the first time, you went, wow, there's a game in there.
Yeah.
There is in the other boxes too, but that one really stands out. There is a deep, nice sci-fi based game in that box. I really enjoy it too.
Yeah, it looks great. And just the mechanics of landing on the planet with your little ships and the action selections from the dice rolls. I really like it. Well, mine is going to be Suburbia. So we had this on our shelf of shame. We got to play it, and I really like it. It's a hex tile placement game that you're building a suburb off of some grand city, and there's a lot of choices to make. It's a point salad game. You really got to keep up with it because it has certain tiles that are going to trigger every time other things trigger. So it's not just place a tile and score some points and forget about it.
Right.
You may have to come back to that at a later date and say, oh, this one is triggering again. I get some more points. But that's part of it, and building that you're kind of building an engine inside your tile placement to make that effect happen and make the points go up. So I really enjoyed it. I didn't care for the other title, Subdivision, but the uniqueness and the variety of Suburbia I really liked.
Oh, definitely. Especially since there's so many different paths to victory. I mean, you could focus on industry where someone else would be focusing on the farmland. So it was a great game. Great game.
Yeah, it's a little abstract, but there are pieces of it that make incredible thematic sense, right?
Yeah.
You're going to benefit because it's a spatial element, and you're going to benefit if there are parks and schools next to your neighborhoods and not, industrial areas, right? So, I really like that it gives you that puzzle to put together. You're trying to maximize your points within restrictions that make sense, right?
Yeah.
So, another great game.
And those are our number 37s.
So my number 36 comes from Placentia Games, and that is Florenza. Florenza is an amazing game where you are not only building up your personal villa, but you're also building out the city itself with great works of art. So you're hiring the artists, you're gathering the supplies, and you are making works of art for the cathedral and for the other areas of the city, and every piece of it ties in to another piece, and it flows so well. There are bits and pieces that you may or may not like, be it with the cardinal or the bishop or the sheriff, but just building your little studio and building up your house for the honor of your house. It's a wonderful, wonderful game, and that is Florenza.
My two favorite parts of this game are the way the artist, the like special character artist cards that you can buy. I like the way they have a timer on them essentially, and if you don't catch them in time, then they're gone and they're not coming back to the game. I like that flow. And then my second favorite part of this game is they made a really good player aid.
Oh,
And you have to have it.
It's like a menu. Right?
Yeah, because there are so many things that you can build in your little village or your villa tableau, and they all cost different resources and things like that. I mean, this thing is essential to the game, but they did such a good job of organizing it. So well done on that one. That's the way to do a player aid.
There's like you said, the artists are all characters from history. There's some generic guys if you can't afford to pay for one of the famous artists in the rule book. This is minor, but I enjoyed it. In the rule book, it gives you like a paragraph on each one of these, right? And then there was one I was reading there where they apologized. They understood he wasn't in Florenza at this exact year period. It's like, come on, don't get that granular. It's cool, But there's, it's a lot of neat information back there. I enjoyed learning something about what I'm doing too.
Very nice. My 36 is going to be another crossover with Jolene, and it is Mission Red Planet. This game is it's fun and it's novel. And it's charming with the little spacemen. So I like it, and it can be a little bit cutthroat too, because you see your opponent loading up a ship with more of his than you want, you just blow it up. So, a really fun game. We have the second edition, and that's the one we've played, and had just a really great time of trying to colonize Mars and collect those. What is it? It's like gems or ice or something that were.
Crystals.
Some kind of tile crystals, but just fun times. So, Mission Red Planet, that's going to be mine.
And I think one thing that we didn't mention when I had put it on the list from the previous 10 was you also have like your own secret little special mission, right? So you get that on top of everything else. Yeah. You're trying to complete the secret mission, so that was kind of cool.
I've got Seven Wonders Duel at number 36. Last year, this one was 17, and I can pinpoint the exact reason that it fell so far. It's a two-player game, and most of the time when I get to play two-player games, it's just here at the house, and somebody doesn't like it. But I think they took Seven Wonders, which was a game I enjoyed, and made the perfect two-player variant out of it. This game is unbelievable. Given the option, I would never choose it over its predecessor. The limitation being that it only plays two players. The Seven Wonders two-player variant wasn't so great. This one just nailed it. So, Seven Wonders Duel, my number 36.
Well, the accessories that you can buy for that game is really nice. The metal coins, very nice.
I don't know what you don't like about it. I like it. I like the layout of those cards with some face up, some face down. To me, that did it. Because like you said, the two-player variant in regular Seven Wonders wasn't all that great. But the game wasn't designed to play two-player, right? So,
no, it's not.
Yeah, but this one specifically was, and I really like it. The way they kind of distilled down science and distilled down military, but made them victory conditions. So you can just outright win if you get so far along on those. So even if you're not interested in following the science track, you at least have to keep up with your opponent, because if you don't, they can outright win. The same way with war. If you let them run off on war, they can just have total victory. So you have to at least play the game just a little bit.
Yep.
Yeah, really, really cool game. It's unfortunate,
Well, I mean, there's pros and cons to both games, and of the two, I would say that Duel is the better of the two, only because you can honestly build all seven of the wonders.
I thought you were going to say because it's overpassed.
That's true too. But the other one, you have the leaders and stuff where it gives you a little bit of special power and a little bit more flexibility. So, of the two, I prefer Duel, but
you don't like Duel.
It's not challenging enough for me. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
That's number 36.
Well, we're at the halfway mark. My number 35 is going to be another take on the dungeon delving game, which I'm a big fan of. That's going to be Space Hulk.
Oh, wow. An
old one from GW. They've reprinted it a number of times. But essentially, it is a dungeon crawl in space. You are playing one player is playing a group of space marines trying to flush a ship out of the gene stealer nasty aliens that are coming to take over and eat their brains out. So I just like it. It's a point move kind of game, and move and shoot, and 2-player shoot 'em up. I like it.
I have not played this game
Never
yet.
played it? We'll
I
get
have
you to
not
play it.
got
Yeah, you'll
that.
like
We
it.
have it, but
Yeah.
I've never played it.
Yeah, you're right. It's a dungeon crawl. You put it on the table and it looks like a miniatures war game, but it's not. It's a board game.
Yeah,
all the way through. So great choice. My number 35 is going to be. I'm gonna do what Chip did last time. Is going to be a combination of things, and that is the Dice Masters system. Really enjoy Dice Masters, and I have for several years now. I think I've said this before. I think it's the game that replaced Magic the Gathering for me because it kind of has that same feel to me. It's not bag building like an Orleans would be or whatever, but you're still pulling out of your bag. I enjoy that bit of randomness it adds into your gameplay, and then the building of the team and all of these games where you customize your side. I really love the building of your team aspect, and that one is great here. There's so many choices. There's so many sets. You can mix and match what you like. You can just choose the things that you like, and I am super pumped about the new 40K Dice Masters that's coming this year. So my number 35 is Dice Masters.
All true, all true.
Yep, I love it. I can't wait for the Joker to lead a group of Space Marines. It's awesome.
Well, for my number 35, I chose City Council Deluxe Edition. In this game, you are basically a member of the City Council, and you are building up your city. Now, it's not only, put a park here or build a bank there. You have to plan it out because you have to be able to supply power to that part of the city in order to run the things that you just built. Otherwise, it's worthless. It's useless. And on top of that, there are influences that are trying to come at you. You know a little bit more about the influences than I do.
Yeah, she seems to like the pure city building part of it, which is neat, especially when you consider that all the buildings have something you pump into them to make X happen. That's cool, but you have in your pocket a special interest. And you're all city council members, so you're trying to make them happy by accomplishing whatever it is, the oil tycoons or whatever. They may want the city parks leveled because, who needs a park when you can put an oil well there?
But
her interest may not want that, and you're voting during the planning stage to determine what buildings are going to get built. So you're trying to convince somebody to build something or to vote for your suggestion that may not be in their best interest. So that it's semi-co-op. There's not a trader. I guess you're all traders from a certain point of view. But you've got to figure out how to work together to meet your goals. And I like it.
Very cool. Those are our number 35s.
We are long-time role players, so you're going to find a lot of dungeon delving type games on this list. I've got another one, number 34, Arcadia Quest. This kind of doesn't take itself seriously. No. And you have these little big-headed chibis, and it's just all-out chaos. Half the missions are go accomplish this thing in the dungeon, and the other half are kill the other players, right? Normally, I wouldn't be too big on that, but given the theme and the way this one works, it's just a great time. It's got a nice campaign system built into it. It's got a nice save. You get a little character sheet. You write down the numbers of your cards, and next time you play, you just pick up and go. I really enjoy Arcadia Quest.
And it's cool because it's progressive, too. I mean, you don't start off and it throws the biggest, baddest thing in the dungeon at you. It builds up and the tension builds, and then it's harder and it gets harder. And it's a load of fun. And younger kids can play it with you, which is, makes it very family friendly.
Yeah, and those miniatures are also good to introduce kids into miniature painting because of the big heads. There's a lot of surface area, but not a lot of detail. And easy for them to paint. One thing I appreciate is there's a load of variety with it. So you've got characters coming out your eyeballs.
Oh, they've expanded it like crazy too. So you can
plenty of expansions to get into and really explore it.
Well, for my number 34, I chose the Golden Ages.
Oh. A Civ builder she likes.
A Civ builder that I like.
We found the one.
It's a Euro game.
It is a Euro civ builder. Basically, you're building up your civilization, and as you're exploring, the map is real little. The board itself is very little. A lot of it is just in your hand. But as you're exploring out, you find the resources you need, and I don't know. It seems very compact, very direct, and it's not so out there and big and expanding. I guess it leans more like this. I like city builders, right? So it's more focused, and I guess that's why I enjoy Golden Ages so much.
Well, if you had to pick one to like, that's a great one to like. I enjoy it too. I like the discovery aspect of the map.
Yeah,
flipping over the tiles flipping. Well, sort of.
You're adding
bringing
tiles
them out
to it,
to the
right?
table,
And you're building it as you go.
Really, really neat mechanic.
Several years ago, we were looking at 2 civ builders, and we chose to get one and not both. And the choice we made was Z-Man's Clash of Cultures. Chip and I liked it, and she didn't, and so it just kind of, you're not going to play 2 players, right? So that one ended up getting traded away, and then just on a whim, we decided to pick this one up. Hey, let's see what that's about, and we made the wrong decision years ago because I did like Clash of Cultures. This one's a better game.
Yeah, it is.
I think so too.
I would pick it over Clash. Well, I guess it's me. So 34 is going to be my third crossover with Joe Lynn in this list, and that is it's Century Spice Road.
There you go.
This game is the Splendor killer. Maybe I know Splendor's got an expansion I haven't played yet, but I really like Century. I like the graphics of it. I like the cube conversion aspect of it. It seems to me a little bit simpler, or maybe not simple is the right word, but compared to Splendor, Century is it just flows better to me, and so I like the flow of the game. I can't say enough good things about it.
Well, I think the difference there is Splendor is it's a lot of the math part of it is in your head. I mean, you have the tactile bit of the chips or the poker chips representing the gems. So it is a little bit tactile, but the majority of it is math in your head. But with Century, it's just so much for your senses to take in. You have the blocks, and you have the trading, and you have the merchants, and you're more engaged in it than just sitting back and looking at the puzzle and saying, okay, so now this is the better move. Right. You're more engaged.
I would agree with that. The art in this one is unbelievable. I really enjoyed the artistic style of this one.
And those are our number 34s. So for me, at 33, I chose the Duke. If you like chess, but you want to amp it up a bit, the Duke is where you need to go. Abstract game, but it's very unique in its chess-like features because you have the Duke, but he has unique moves. And then once you move him, you flip him, and he has a completely different set of moves. And each turn, you're pulling from a bag a new subject to add to your side of the board. And so you never know what you're going to get. You could get a bishop, or you could get another pawn or archer or whatever. So it's very cool. It keeps you engaged, and it's not as stodgy. So I chose the Duke.
Yeah, cool game. Like I was going to say that with the flipping and having similar but different moves from back to forward. It's all open information still. I mean, everybody can see what the moves are, and everybody has the exact same pieces.
In their bag,
Who knows what'll come out. But really, really cool game. Very thematic to me.
Yeah, this is how you make a symmetrical abstract game interesting. Not my kind of game, but I agree. This is a great one.
My 33 is going to be an oldie but goodie, and that is Shadows over Camelot. So this is the game of like mini games where you're questing for the Holy Grail, trying to make sets, or you're playing poker hands to try to fight the Saxons and the Picts or things like that. while all the time you're having to watch those blasted catapults that are generating on the wall. And why not just throw a trader mechanic into it? So your friend that decided we needed to put another catapult when we're already 2 from losing, why did he do that? Instead, he swore up and down that we didn't need to take a darkness card. So I just really like the game, and I've always liked the Arthurian legend kind of stuff, so it just fits right in.
It is. It's very, very cool. And you're right. It's just like you're on the midway. Which game am I going to play? And you're going to go do this one. So, yeah, very cool game.
Good choice. My number 33 is Joe listed this one just a few picks ago, going to be Legendary Encounters. I would also pick the Predator version as my favorite. Wow. That one really played out well. I had a ton of fun playing it. It's hard. The Predator just beats on you, right? And there's a bunch of them. But you didn't like this one, but I actually really enjoyed the one that I'm not a fan of the source material, and that was the Firefly Encounters game. I liked the way that one worked together. I liked the way your flaws and your edges, I can't remember what they called it right now. I liked the way they kicked off your character specific power. That was really neat to me. So I really enjoy the Legendary Encounter system as a whole. Like I said, I'd put Predator on top, but I also enjoyed Firefly. So
I don't know. I guess maybe it's because I love the Firefly source material so much that some of the missions was like, well, that's kind of in the story, but they're kind of bending it. It wasn't pure Firefly, so maybe that's why it hedged out and Predator swooped in.
I'm going to go try Predator. I mean, I liked the Firefly one too, and I love the Legendary series, so very cool.
And that's number 33.
Here we are at 32, and I want to reiterate again, this list is not us telling you that one game is better than another. This is our favorite list. And this is also going to show the viciousness of this year's competition. My 32 is Scythe by Jamie Stegmaier.
Wow.
I love this game. Let me say that. I love this game. But it's at 32 in my list. This game is a Euro war game. Is it safe to call it that? I mean, it feels like that to me, but then there's not a lot of war, right? You don't have to do a lot of battle. A lot of worker placement, a lot of resource management. Man, Stegmaier just knocked it out of the park, I really like this game. I like the theme. I like the art, the setting. I would love to see more stuff in this setting. I'd like to see like a comic book series or something based in this world. Playing this game makes me want to know more about how this world works, And so, man, 32, there it is. Scythe.
It hurts.
Yes, it does.
Hurts. More to come on that one.
Okay.
Knowing some of the things that just, I haven't seen his list, but I know him, and they have to be on there, and he put them above that.
Remember, it's games we would rather play. I'm not saying it's a bad game. This is a great game. If you haven't played it, go play it.
Hurts my heart.
All right. My number 32 is a game that we finally had the opportunity and the time and I guess the setting to sit down and learn and play this last fall at BGG Con. And it took us this long to get it to the table because of its crap rule book, and that's Dungeon Pets.
I knew you were going to say that.
Paul Grogan has an amazing video on how to play this game over at Gaming Rules. Go check that out. Wonderfully done, and it got us through this game. I love the theme here. Yeah. You are collecting and breeding and growing little pets to sell to dungeon keepers so that they can destroy folks with them. I really enjoy the theme. It's once you figure it out, it's actually a really simple flow to a game. It's a little worker placement game. And, based on how big your little beast is and what type of beast he is, you're going to have to meet his needs every turn through some random card draws. And if you can't meet him, he's going to get upset and all hell breaks loose, right? So I had a ton of fun playing Dungeon Pets.
Okay, so with this game, it looks charming. It's very cute. The rule book is very cutesy as well, but I think that even
It
though
got in the way.
it
Yeah.
got in the way,
Mhm.
you know, you enjoy reading the rules, but when it came down to playing it, you had to root through it and try and find that quirky little verbiage that told you what was supposed to happen at this point. I think with more plays, I'll enjoy it more. But my initial play, it was so frustrating that it just kind of sucked the fun out of it for me. So after a time, I'll go back and we'll play it again because I know you enjoyed it so much. And I know it's there. There's a good game there. It's just I have to get past that frustration in that rule book to really enjoy it.
Yeah, and it's from a world-class designer, so there is a great game there. I did have fun, but I was frustrated by the rule set. And that's kind of where I'm going with Mythotopia, is I'm getting to the point where it's like, I can't understand this game, you know, and you get so frustrated. But Dungeon Pets is a really great, and it's another cute little game. So, very cool. 30. What are we on? 32? Is it mine?
32.
No, I've already done mine. Y'all have already berated me. Go ahead.
So for my 32, it's actually a game that I've recently played. It kind of came out of nowhere. It looked beautiful, so I had to have it, wanted to try it, finally got it, and that's Azul. Azul is an abstract game, and it has these beautiful mosaic tiles. And basically, you're pulling, there's different sections of groups of tiles, and you pull what you want out of that, but the rest of them go to a community pool. So as you're pulling these tiles and you're laying out your patterns, you're building points for endgame. There's two versions of the game. You have the one where it already has the pattern laid out for you, and then you can flip it for a larger challenge, and you can basically create your own pattern. That's the one that I enjoyed the most, creating my own pattern, because there's rules. You can't duplicate in certain rows and such, but it's really good, thinky, puzzly game. It's beautiful to look at, and that's Azul.
I don't like that side of the board. It's going to end up exactly the same way because you have to follow the same set of rules. I guess my brain just needed the colors to help me along. But this one right here is, I hope, the continuation, because I think this really started with Santorini, of the trend of let's take these abstract games and make them visually interesting. Stop with the black and white pieces or whatever, right? Make them visually interesting, and I think you'll get more people to give them a try. And I think the Duke's a better game. We talked about that one just a couple picks ago, but this is still a really fun abstract game that if it were black and white, I wouldn't have tried.
Right,
so it's visually stunning, and that's a plus.
Those are our number 32s.
As we've talked about many times in these two episodes so far, and this year's list, a wrecking ball of change brought a lot of it. And this one only dropped 10 spots for me.
Only.
And that's minor compared to some of the other drops that I've had. But this one is Last Will.
Oh, okay.
And this is essentially Brewster's Millions. This is a great theme. You are trying to blow all your money because the worse off you are at the end of the game, the better you do, right? So you're buying real estate high and selling it low and doing these sort of things. And, you do this through kind of a action selection worker placement type mechanic. The art in it is really great. One of the things you can do is take your horse to dinner.
Yep.
Right? Just to blow
some money.
And you can take guests and all of these sorts of things. I haven't played it with the expansion in it, but for me, it didn't need it. It was so charming and such a good, interesting game to play. Last Will, my number 31.
That was tons of fun. I mean, thinking, the best way to blow the most money possible. That's just, it's not even any tension. It's just, what can I do now that's just going to completely
a lot of Euro
ludicrous.
games, it's how do I make the best move? This one, you just have fun.
Yeah. You're just trying to blow money. And at the end of the game, it could be, hey, yes, I did it. If you lose, it's like, darn it, but I did take my horse to dinner. So.
Yeah, you'll get an influx of cash and you're like, oh no!
So it is. It's a lot of fun. So for my last one on this list, I chose a crossover.
Oh,
I actually got one now.
She's got one.
It's with Chip.
Okay.
Radis Cardis.
Oh, yeah.
Love that game. So it's a bit higher on my list. Radis Cardis is the card game version of Radis, which I haven't had a chance to play, but this card game makes me really want to do it. So basically, you're in plague-infested England, and you're trying to get influence with all these different groups, be it, the Knights or the Merchants Guild or whomever. And it's all cards. The whole thing is all cards. And by the end of the game, you are penalized with rats as you go based on the choices that you make. And at the end of the game, you have to compare that to the number of nuns that you have, and that'll tell you whether you survived or not. I don't know. It was neat. It was charming for the Black Plague. I really enjoyed it, and that's Radis Cardis.
Yeah, it's a press your luck.
Yeah, it is.
Because, you want to extend yourself to get more points, but if you do that and you don't have enough nuns to take care of the rat population, then you're going to lose no matter. I mean, even if you are the highest point value, you're going to lose. So.
It's
great. It is. It's a really cool game.
Yeah, there's a set of factions, and you have a hand of cards, and you're saying, I'm going to gain 6 faction points with the Knights this turn. And when you flip your hand of cards over, if you have 6 points worth of Knights there, you're golden. You get your 6 points. If you don't have 6 points worth of Knights and you've mixed some other thing in, you still get your 6 points, but then you get rats for everyone that didn't match, right? Yeah, that's how you get those rats, and you got to balance that, because it'll kill you. Black Plague, don't play. It'll kill you.
My number 31 is going to be a classic Dungeon Delver again, and it's Descent Journeys in the Dark. Specifically, the second edition. I think they made some much needed changes from the first. And so I enjoy those. Now, I haven't played with the new app expansion that kind of replaces the Dungeon Master or whatever you want to call that position. And I'm not really tripping over myself to do that. I think that our group is benefits from having a large number of players. So we can spare one to play the role of the game master or the opponent. But I really do enjoy it. It's a good solid fantasy Dungeon Delver. I guess to me it's an evolution of Warhammer Quest. I think they took out a little bit of Warhammer Quest had some instant death rolls, especially when you went back to town. I don't think Descent has those, and I can appreciate that because just one dice roll to kill you it's kind of bad. But I don't know. I got used to it.
Yeah, it's terrible. Rolling the dice and dying, really, that's bad.
I got used to it playing Warhammer Quest. So, but I do like it. And it's got plenty of miniatures if you're a miniature painter. It's got plenty of miniatures to paint around on. So that's my number 31.
Yeah, FFG also pumps those expansions out. So, tons of content there. I enjoy, the reason the second edition for me is better than the first is the campaign system was built into it from the get-go rather than being an expansion that was added on later. So it seems to flow better, and I agree with you. To me, it's one of the better dungeon crawlers out there.
Folks, that's going to wrap up our second installment of our 50 favorite games, numbers 40 to 31. And we appreciate y'all coming along with us. To get notified on all our future videos, go ahead and subscribe and hit the notification button for us. But for now, for Roll to Hit Gaming, I'm Chip.
I'm Joe.
And I'm Lucas.
See you next time.